Mikel Arteta or Enzo Maresca? Who will get fired first? Marky Mark, we're a couple of weeks away from the season kicking off. My question to you is, will it be my manager or your manager that gets the boot first? What you saying, my guy?
Historically, yeah, you'd have to put your money on Chelsea. Okay, because they're hiring, firing.
Fact.
We've probably been through since Arteta, what, 4 or 5 managers? I don't even know. I don't know if it sounds about right, because it just seems like every year we are chopping and changing. Yeah, so of course, in regards to stability, up until this point, okay, it looks like Arteta will be the way that the trend is happening. You'd have to put your money on Arteta staying on beyond Moresca. But there is lots of context now. There is a lot of pressure put on Arsenal and especially Mikel Arteta. I mean, how long has the guy been there now?
This is his 7th season.
So he come in.
6 seasons.
6 seasons. Okay, 7 seasons. Okay, fine. So he's come in to Arsenal Football Club. I think they were 8th. And there's no doubt about it that Mikel Arteta has stabilized the team, right? He's molded his own team. He's not just a coach. He is a manager. Whereas you look at Moresca, he is not really a manager, even though there are some reports that they say he does have some input into the signings. But let's not do it like that, because clearly are the ones that are really making all the signings. And Moresca is just the coach. Now it's crunch time for Mikel Arteta, right? He's got the final piece, what he's been missing for a couple of seasons. And all the Arsenal fans and all the board and the manager himself have come out and saying, we don't have a number 9, we don't have a number 9. And this window, you have actually gone out and got an absolute goal scoring machine. And so with that in mind, this really is for me. And I know a lot of other pundits, supporters, and especially Arsenal supporters. There is a big group of you guys that are saying this is his last rodeo, right? He's going to have to compete until the very end. Yes, I know a couple of seasons ago, you made 89 points and this season only 82 or 84 in this and that. There's a lot of context behind that as well. Like Liverpool eased off the gas last season. Let's not forget about that. They could have got even more points than they did, maybe an additional 6 to 9 points additionally if they were pushed, but they weren't. So of course, take the foot off the gas. Let's see. It's crunch time first for Arteta. It is, if he doesn't perform or come really close to winning the league, I'd say he'll be gone before Moresca. There's a lot of faith in Moresca by the Chelsea board, by Clearlake. Hence why they did a lot of research before they signed him. Hence why they've given him the biggest contract since they took over from Chelsea. Clearlake, I'm talking about. They've given him a 5-year contract, which means that they have a lot of faith in this manager. And that's backed up by his first season at Chelsea. He's improved the team in terms of league positioning. Yeah. He didn't even make Champions League, bro. He made top 4. Yeah, massive increase on points. And you had 2 competitions, European competitions, club competitions, and he's won them both. What more can the guy have done? So if you're asking me, I'd bet my money, if I had to, that Arteta, out of everything which I've just said, will be the first one to be sacked out of Enzo Maresca and Mikel Arteta. I've blasted quite a lot of stuff on there for you.
Look, I think both managers are massively under pressure, right? And for the reasons that you stated, Moresca's job is under threat because he is by default a Chelsea manager. And that means whether you're in the Roman era or the Todd Bowley era, the Clearlake era, your job is never truly safe.
Yeah.
You said it at the start.
Yeah.
We've been through 4 or 5 managers.
Yeah.
Tuchel since Arteta took over. Tuchel. You've then gone Graham Potter, Pochettino, and now you've got Moresca. And if Moresca has a slow start, and if Moresca falls slightly out backwards, goes out of that top 4, he'll be gone. Now, something miraculous will have to happen for Arteta to lose his job before the end of the season. Why? Because rightly or wrongly, Arsenal tend to give their managers a bit more time. Now, he's had time. He's built his team. He has to challenge. There's no ifs, no buts. He has to challenge. And Moresca has to improve because Chelsea fire managers. So, but it's a big call. I would say, because knowing Arsenal, how much time they typically give to managers, I reckon Moresco will be gone before Arteta. But that leads me to my next question. Who should get fired first? Arteta or Moresca? Now, obviously, a lot of this will depend on how the seasons go and how this season starts and continues and how it's going. If Moresca has a nightmare start, should he be fired? If Arteta has a terrible start, do you fire him, or do you think he should be fired, or do you think he should be given to the end of the season? I personally think both managers, unless something miraculous happens and they both do terrible at the start of the season and continue up until December, they'll both have the season, and they both should have the season. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I really don't. I really gonna see a world where Arsenal Football Club sack Mikel Arteta halfway through the season. He's gonna have to start. I think he's going to have to, he's going to have to start extremely poorly for them to even consider that. And of course, Arsenal fans are extremely vocal, and I would like to think that that pressure can affect the board. I think it can affect the board. Now, it's not definite that it'll affect the board, that the fans will have such a say in whether Mikel Arteta leaves or goes if he starts poorly, because Arsenal have been, screaming throughout the years, 10, 20 years at the board. We hate the board. We need another number 9. We need this. We need that. And it never seems like the board actually listens. But at the same time, if you have the whole pundits, all of the influencers, all of the fans screaming at Mikel Arteta and screaming at the board, you need to replace him, they're going to have to consider it and leave it. But as I said, I don't think that halfway through, it's just not Arsenal's way. It's Chelsea's way. It most definitely. Chelsea are just vicious. And you know what? I would have thought that the Clear Lake would operate a little bit differently to the Roman era. Now they have, in terms of their whole structure, their pay, the way their incomings, and they're looking to buy and sell for the future to make profit. Yes, that's different. But where they're very similar to the Abramovich era and the Abramovich management is that if the manager's not cutting it, you're gone. And that's clear. It's Clear Lake, geezer. What's your thoughts about what I just said?
No pun intended.
No pun.
I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head, right? And that is something that has stayed consistent, because Graham Potter didn't get long. Rightly so, in my opinion. He was pants. And then you had Pochettino, and Pochettino didn't get along. And that was a bit more controversial, because at the time, Pochettino had taken you from 12th to 6th. Yes. And that actually was interesting, because it looked like he was building up momentum.
Yes.
And then bang, he's gone. Moresca's in. We're like, okay, he did a great job at Leicester City. He's going to come in and take over from Poch. Can he do a better job? Is he more proven? Well,
yes.
I'll tell you what, we're going to move this on to Neely's numbers time, because that's exactly what time it is, yeah? And actually, I'm going to go through this, and actually, Chelsea might be getting it right, and Arsenal might be getting it very wrong. Hear me out. So, what I've done is I've taken Arsenal's last 5 seasons, of which Mikel Arteta has been in post the whole time. And I've taken Chelsea's last 5 seasons, of which Moresca has only been there the last season. 2021, Arsenal finished 8th with 8. 2022, that number from 18 jumps to 22 wins across the Premier League season. This is just Premier League, by the way, Mark. They go from 8th to 5th. Then we go 2023 season. We jump from 22 wins out of the 38 games to 26 wins. We finished second. 2024, 28 wins. We finished second, 2 points off City. 5. Can you guess how many games we won last season and finished second? 20.
20.
That is, out of the last 5 seasons, the 4th worst performing Arteta season out of the 5 in terms of number of wins. And out of the last 4 seasons straight, that is the lowest number of wins that Arteta has managed across a season. So out of the last 4 seasons, last season was the lowest number of wins. Okay? Now, compare and contrast with Chelsea. Last 5 seasons. 2021, I think you had Tuchel, didn't you? 19 wins, 4th. And you won the Champions League that year. Yes. 2022, 21 wins, finished 3rd. 23, that number drops to 11 wins. You finished 12th. 2024, 18 wins, you finish 6th. And 2025, 20 wins, you finish fourth. His season, the one and only season he had out of the last 5 Chelsea seasons, his season is actually the second highest number of wins out of your last 5 seasons, and it's only 1 win behind the 21 you managed in 2022. So, Moresca, I'm not a fan. This is the point I'm trying to make here. I'm not a huge fan. You said you're not a huge fan, but he's earned his right to stay there. Damn right he's earned his right, because he's finished 4th, dude, yeah? He's taken a side from 6th and 18 wins up to 20 wins with a brand new squad, hit the ground running, actually, and bar a really poor period just after Christmas and New Year up until March, you know, you could have been even better in terms of the numbers you're looking at wins-wise. Mikel Arteta, however, managed 20 wins in the last season. To put it into context, before we had this run of finishing second, where we finished 5th behind Spurs and bottled it, 22 wins that season. 2 more wins in the season we bottled it and finished 5th compared to last season. This season is huge for Mikel Arteta. Do not get it twisted. When we say who will get fired first, I think Moresca, who should get fired first. I'm not going to comment because I don't know how both managers are going to run. Now, you know I like Arteta. You know I'm an Arteta fan. And you know that I want to see him see out the season. But I'm not blinded by Arteta. I will equally look at it and go, that was a drop-off and a half. A lot to unpack there.
It can happen, though. Look, even though
it could be a one-off. It could be a one-off, Mark. It
come
could
on,
be.
Geezer.
But it might not be.
That's true as well. I mean, you had some big injuries last season. You still didn't have a number 9. Your left side was trash.
Correct.
Or I don't want to say that, or maybe I do. At the very least, it's ineffective on the left. You fixed a lot of these problems. Trash. We'll go with that. It's more fitting. So, look, you fixed a lot of the problems. A lot of that stuff was kind of out of his control. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was up to him, the season before last, but to put pressure on the board and actually sit down and go, look, I need a striker. Or maybe it was like, oh, you know what? I want to buy Marino as a midfielder. And then, he has the ability to play up front. I don't know. There's a lot of variables, a lot of context in behind it. I would honestly like to think that it wasn't that much of his control. You can't control injuries. Your left side, it was terrible. Now you've got Madueke. I think that as much as I've blasted him, I think that he's a massive upgrade on Martinelli, especially considering his form. You didn't have anyone up front, so now you got an absolute monster goal-scoring machine in the form of Victor Gyökeres. So I would put that last season aside for all those reasons. Yeah, because don't forget, the previous seasons, he's massively improved your team. He's massively stabilized your team. He's given you guys hope, right? And that is very difficult to do, especially with an average team finishing 8th and then taking over and slowly improving the team. One season, it's like Odegaard. You had one bad season. All right, do you get me? It can happen. But if you have a second bad season, Odegaard, then you enter the Gabriel Martinelli sort of territory and reputation. And then that's something to be really concerned about. But one season, I don't know. In regards to Moresca and what you just said, he has improved the team, Giza. My arguments or my excuses for him not doing better is after Christmas, bro, we had one more. I remember it was just one more game we needed to win. We would have been on points on first, along with Liverpool. And what happens was the whole spine got disrupted. Nico Jackson gets injured. Lavia gets injured. Wesley Fofana, who was integral to Chelsea's first part of last season, he gets injured. So the whole spine is disrupted, right? So that is major. If you take the big working spine out of any major team, imagine in 2000 you had injuries to Frank Lampard. Oh my days. Would Chelsea have won the league? No, because he scored so many goals. Imagine you had an injury to Drogba. Would we have won the league? No. Imagine you had an injury to John Terry. Would we have won the league? No. So the whole point is saying, when you take out big players that are part of your established spine, it's going to affect it. But now Moresca has made loads of new signings, and those signings are so versatile that they can all interchange and play in different positions, right? So he's covering himself to ensure that last season does not be repeated this season and onwards. So take it, as I said, there's lots of variables here and there. Going back to it, if I had to bet money, it would still be Arteta. I mean, he really does need to perform. You really do, not just challenge, you need to challenge. Like, be so close, take it to the end. If you're like 3-4 weeks before and you're out of the race, bro, the board need to consider what they're going to do with Mikel Arteta, because clearly, to me, he is not the guy, especially after all your signings. He's not the guy to take you over the line. That's my opinion.
Yeah, all fair. And for what it's worth, if we swapped managers and Arteta was a Chelsea manager and Moresca was an Arsenal manager, I'd say Arteta's the one getting fired first. That is purely, I'm putting that down to the fact that, you know, Chelsea are going to be a bit more ruthless. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, Roman proved it was a really effective way of running the club. At the end of the day, it's an effective strategy, right? The other thing I will say is let me put it to you. Right now going into this season, would you rather have Moresca or Arteta as your manager?
Moresca.
Why?
I'm not a fan of Arteta. I told you. I don't think he's...
You're not a fan of Moresca. Let's be honest.
This is facts as well. But I've seen a lot more of Arteta. When he first come in and he started, I was like, bro, he's improving. He is improving. But now he's hovering recently around the second, third. You even said it yourself in the previous podcast that you didn't even consider Arsenal challenging last season.
We didn't.
You challenged for a bit and then it fell off. So for me, I would not have Arteta, geezer. I would not. And I saw the Amazon documentary, right, about how, and you get an insight into see how he manages and then the team and how they train and stuff like that. And the way he motivates his team, oh my God, here, we've got a light bulb. When it goes off, we don't play well. When it goes on, we play well. And I'm like, bro, if I was in the changing room and I was listening to that and that's a motivational speech, yeah, I would think, what is this, you clown? Like, that just sounds so stupid. You look stupid. You actually brought in a light bulb as well. And stuff like that, it all adds up. And I just don't think he's the main guy to take you over the line. I've said that multiple times. Even last year, I've said that, especially near the end of last year. Would I have him over Moresca? No. Moresca has proven me a little bit wrong. I just don't like the journey, the way that Chelsea are playing. But he's getting results. Now, as I said before, he's getting the players to cover any issues. Our squad depth is so deep. It is ridiculous. So next season shouldn't be any excuse for Moresca and any injuries because our squad is so vast. It's so deep. I would have
no
Moresca.
Excuses on either front. No excuses on either front. Yeah. Facts. You'd rather have Moresca. I'd rather have Arteta for the fact that I do believe Arteta has been a victim of his own early success. And by that, I mean jumping from 8th to 5th to 2nd was quick. You know, if he'd gone 8th to 5th to 4th to 3rd to 2nd, maybe things would look a bit different for him. But however, both managers have no excuses going into next season. Both managers have added to the squad. Both managers have got the players they want. Both managers are happy, it seems, on the surface of what they've done. At the end of the day, you've done the business. You live and die by the sword. Now, yes, Arteta has more say over his signings than Moresca. Moresca's got a deep squad, and he's, as you said, got a lot of versatility within there as well in terms of the players can play in multiple positions, which means that if you do have injuries, you shouldn't really feel the drop off because you have personnel that can cover. Okay, my final question to you, Mark, before we land the plane or you land the plane, who is going to finish higher next season, bearing in mind that the signings have been made so far? As of today, Gyökeres is in, Eze is still not complete. You haven't got Xavi Simons in, but it looks like you're going to get him in. As of today, the 4th of August, who is going to finish higher next season? Arsenal or Chelsea?
You see, now I know I've said it multiple times. Yeah, Chelsea are going to finish higher than Arsenal. We're definitely going to be doing it. I talk a lot of smack on the podcast, really to kind of wind you up, Neil. All right. But if I'm being deadly honest with the Gyökeres signing, with the Zubimendi signing, right? Because Arsenal's team is definitely a lot more established It's a lot more cohesive because you guys have just been, you've built up that team together. And it's not like Chelsea.
Been together longer, haven't we?
We've been together longer. And it's not like Chelsea. Like Chelsea's team changes drastically every season, especially since Clearlake come in. There's been huge incomings every window and huge outgoings every window. It's like it's like the start of every season, we have a brand new team. That's how it feels like. Whereas Arsenal has just been purchasing one or two players, letting one or two players go. So the players that do come in, they slot in a little bit easier. Of course they do. It's a more settled team. But what was the question again? Who's going to finish higher?
Who's going to finish higher?
If I had to bet money, I know I joke a lot about that Chelsea are going to finish higher. But honestly, with the Gyökeres and the Zubimendi signing, if I had to bet money, Arsenal will finish higher. But do not be surprised, if Chelsea finish higher than Arsenal. This is what I'd say. But if I'm a betting man, Arsenal finish higher. And you?
I'm going Arsenal as well. For those pure reasons, I think we're a little bit further down the road into our project. I think we look like a settled team. We've bar last season, which we still finished second. Let's not, spade a spade. We still finished second, and it was a poor season from us. I'm excited about this season. I think we will finish higher than Chelsea. I'm hoping we finish top of the pile, but that's going to be difficult because you'll take out Man City and Liverpool as well as Chelsea. So that being said, I will go Arsenal, but I will say this about Chelsea. I also say things to tongue-in-cheek a little bit. Chelsea, where's your marquee signings, etc.? Look, you've got a clear plan in place. As Chelsea fans keep reminding me, this is the new strategy. My only issue with this strategy is it's a bit more high risk in terms of in every Moises Caicedo you buy, you might buy a Mykhailo Mudryk. For every Cole Palmer you buy, you might buy a Nico Jackson. And where you buy someone a bit more proven, you're probably limiting or mitigating that risk. But hey, there's been plenty of big names that have come over to the Premier League and not performed. And you've got talent there. My one issue with this talent that Chelsea have is that you've got Moresca in place and not Pep. If you give this talent to Pep, now you're cooking. And that's not to say that you won't have a good season, but now you would be cooking. And in fact, that would be super interesting. Guys, let us know in the comments if Chelsea
but Geezer, come on. If Pep took over from Arsenal.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm talking about, you're not buying the proven talent. Obviously, bro, if you took over at Arsenal, again, be better. What I'm saying is, when you're not buying that proven talent, but you're buying talent. They've got ceilings. They've got like Leroy Sané. They bought whoever else they bought years when Pep came in. There was a lot of talent that was bought that wasn't proven at the time. You had Gundogan, whoever else, John Stones. He improved. He improved every single player. Imagine what he'd do with this Chelsea squad, because this Chelsea squad is talented. I just don't think they're ready to finish above Arsenal yet. But in 2 or 3 seasons, this Chelsea squad, if you keep it together and start getting more wins than misses out of these buys that you've made and these transfers that you've made, and get a better manager, deadly. But let us know in the comments who you think will finish higher. Who's going to get fired first, Moresca or Arteta? Who should get fired first? And we want to hear from you if you think we're both talking absolute rubbish. Let us know in the comments. Mark, land the plane for us.
That's exactly well said. And if you want to see more of our content, guys, click this video right here and we'll see you beautiful people in the next one. We appreciate you guys.